So when I first looked into my financial aid package, I saw like, the UC Santa Cruz grant, the Cal Grant A, and also I saw the non-resident exemption waiver. And as it appears on your financial aid, it looks like, you're receiving like around $20,000. And, when you see that, you're like, oh, it's going to be fine. I'm going to have enough financial aid because the cost of attendance is like around $32,000 a year. However, that's kind of just like the non-resident exemption waiver is just telling you that, you won't be charged as an out-of-state student. You'll be charged as an in-state, tuition student, which is what AB 540 does, which is a bill that was passed back in 2001. So when I first thought of that, I was like, oh, it's fine. Let me call the financial aid office just to confirm this. But when I called them, they were like, okay, so yes, you are getting a non-resident exemption waiver. However, it's not going to be in the form of financial aid. You're still going to have a $10,000 gap that you would have to meet, either through out-of-pocket expenses or through scholarships or grants. Now, I wasn't a straight A student. I, wasn't on top of my class. I was I graduated with like a 3.8. I wasn't, a really good student, but I knew that kind of applying to scholarships and writing those essays was going to be a bit difficult for me. So I kind of communicated that with the financial aid office, and then they let me know of the office on campus that could probably help me out. And that's how I first came into contact with the AB 540 Student Services office. And they kind of just let me know how I could actually start to understand the cost of attendance. And one of the most important tools that we used was budgeting, where we kind of created a spreadsheet listing out all your expenses, including university and your personal expenses, that we can then identify resources that you could tap into to reduce those those costs. And after that, if you have a remaining gap, then you could just focus on that gap to with a scholarship, focus on filling that gap with a scholarship or grant. And then that could actually help you out for the remaining quarters. But, kind of breaking down that cost by quarters actually does help reduce the anxiety. It helped me kind of reduce the fear of attending, because one of my biggest fears of coming to UC Santa Cruz was, of course, financial aid and the cost of attendance coming from a low-income household with a single parent. So, but I mean, this is my third year now, so I've made it thus far, and I guess I've made it pretty swell, living here, and I feel like budgeting can really help me out. In addition to the resources that I found through the Undocumented Student Services office, and what I'm going to try to do today is actually try to convey the message of budgeting, trying to explain to you the importance of budgeting and how to budget with understanding the costs that would actually go up there and what your gap would actually look like at the final stage. When you first come into UCSC, you're kind of given this financial aid package, and you're also giving this fact that you're going to get $10,000 gap, and that kind of gives students a lot of anxiety. So the budget kind of reduces that amount, and you could actually focus on where are the areas that you can actually reduce the cost of attending, and what you could actually tap into that could reduce that cost as well. So no longer will you have a $10,000 gap, but you could probably have a $6,000 gap or a $5,000 gap, and then you could actually know what your aim is to apply to scholarships and grants. And when you have those scholarships and grants, then you basically covered yourself for the entire year. But we will take this quarter by quarter.